I'm going to show you how to do a budget home repair on a garage door. Now before I started, this garage door was very unlevel. If you look up at the top edge, you'll see that it's fairly level now. It's off a tiny little bit. That's because down here at the bottom we have a crack right here, and that's the highest point of the floor. So if you look over on the sides, on this side there's over an inch gap. Move over to the other side, and there's over an inch gap at the bottom. I'm going to do this with two 2x4s and some screws, and that's it, instead of paying an expensive door repair guy to come out here. Now, before I got started, I took that level out and made it straight as we can get it. The high point is sitting on that crack. I've cleaned everything off the bottom. You'll see that in a minute. So part of the reason with this door is got a problem is that this bottom piece here is finger joint, and this is just one of the joints in here sitting on the water that gets down on the concrete. Over time that joint has failed. A lot of these joints have failed. So I want to show you how I've repaired this so far. Is I've pulled this board up. I've placed a 1x4 on top of it with screws about every 6 inches. That's to bring this board up because it had a bow in it that was trying to match the break in the concrete in the downslope. So this was the highest point, the ends were the lowest point, but it still had a gap. So I put this 1x4 in here, secured it, and gotten this bottom board as level as I can get it. So the lumber we're going to use for this project is pressure treated. The screws are going to be about 3/4 of an inch in the narrowest part, thinnest part when we get done. So we'll have a good bite. And the next thing I'll be doing is countersinking these so that the screws can get a good bite and I can get my mark on the bottom of the boards to trim them for the proper fit. So what I've done is taken a roll of standard electrical tape, marked this bit with that electrical tape so that about 3/4 of an inch of the wood will still be left when I reach that tape. I'm going to go through one of these, which is a little slower than just doing them in order, or doing them in stages. After I show you how to do the one, which will take a little bit of time, then I'm just going to whip through and do all the holes of each type at one time. So I want to do 6 inches on center, approximately. Measure it. Now that bit was sized to fit this. So when I do drive the screws, this will go in that hole. Should be able to see now how much this screw's coming out. If you compare the two lengths, you can see how much is still up in that board to hold it. Now I'll back this screw out because I can't have it in there when I'm trying to attach it to the board. Now I'm going to drive the screws through. I'm going to drive it through until I just feel the tip of the screw coming out. And then I'm going to back it off a little bit. Don't just give it a good shot there when you're going in and drive the screw through your finger. That would hurt. Another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to drop screws in your driveway right in front of your garage door. especially if you're doing it on your house, because your wife's going to be upset that she's got a flat tire, and you're going to be the one changing it. This board's ready to put in. So we've held this up to the door, and there's a bow in the wood, which we knew was going to be there. So what we've done is identified how far it lays smoothly against it. It's in between these two screws here. Identified one with the drill bit. It's right here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut it with a skill saw to get this drill bit out. Chop saw would make that a lot easier. Okay, we've got the pressure treated 2x4s placed. There's 2 screws per piece of wood holding it. On the left hand side we had to make one cut in approximately the middle of the 2x4 to account for the bowing of the 2x4, so we get a good tight fit up against that bottom board of the garage door. On the left side, on the right side, we had to make 2 cuts. We've got 2 screws holding up each of those pieces. Got it just propped up at the moment because it's a little heavier now, so it wants to come down. We'll have to readjust the tension on the door after we get this all done. That's a lot of fun. So I'm going to let it down. You can see we've still got the gaps on the left and the right side. What we're going to do now is we're going to mark this board to cut it so that we can get rid of those gaps. First thing I want to do is take a piece of board scrap. I'm going to put it up against the bottom there. I'm going to mark where the very bottom. Okay, so I just marked the very bottom of the garage door that's existing. Now I'm going to measure down 3/4 of an inch because that's how much of the solid wood I want at the high point. Now I did this at the high point, you notice. I'm going to measure down 3/4 of an inch. Make another mark. And that is where I want the center of my pencil to be. So now I'm going to lay it on there. And I have these handy dandy vice grips. Hey, they're actually name brand vice grips too. I'm going to clamp that on there. I've already set it. I've got a good solid thing there. It's not going to move. Now I can mark my door. Okay, so now I've got it marked. Next thing we have to do is take all these boards off again so we can make the cuts, put them back on, and we should have it finished. Okay, so we ran out of time yesterday. We ended up taking these boards off so we could properly close the garage. Otherwise we would have had to do something with the mechanism so that it would be secure. So we've got them off. We had to take them off anyway, so we took them off last night, closed the garage up. Got them off today. Got the lines drawn on them from marking it yesterday. Now what I'm going to do is make those lines stronger so I can see them better by remarking them with a straight edge today. And then we're going to cut them with a skill saw. dandy vice grip. Make sure it's nice and tight. Clamp that on there so it's not going to go anywhere. It can't go too far, or it'll do that. You don't want that coming up on you while you're sawing. So we'll come back a bit. Find which your side's marked. This is the piece we're keeping. The cut will be just to the outside of that line. Now we'll move the board to the other side so we don't end up with two cuts intersecting. The one cut can continue. Makes it for a nicer edge. So we've had the camera repositioned so that you can see this better. We haven't changed the position of the board just so you can get a better position. Look at how we're cutting. This is the piece we're keeping. Drop the blade down in that slot. Make sure we're away from the steel. Now when you get to the end, you want to make sure this piece you're cutting off on your side isn't falling on your toes. The clamp is holding that piece, so I'm okay. Now what we have is a piece that matches the grade difference between the door and the concrete. Okay, so we've got the wood on now. The only step left is to put on a seal. You could use a garden hose, you'd think. But if you use a garden hose and you bring that door down in the winter, it is not going to compress the seal. You're still going to have the high point will be high and the low points will still have a gap. So you have to get a seal that's designed for this so that in the summertime or the wintertime it'll still be flexible. So let me show you how much of the gap we've taken out. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's a whole lot less than it was. Come over to the other side and you can see that this one as well is a whole lot less than it was. One thing we found when we did this, and I suspected it would, so right here, because we made the door longer, this scrubbed on this piece of wood here a little bit, on both sides. So I just took the saw, trimmed the corner of that off so as it would clear. Next step is to put a seal on. Okay, so we've got the seal for the bottom of the garage door. It's a heavy rubber. It's designed to be attached like this with little nails that come with it. Gives you this piece here to cover the gap. And hopefully the fillets that we've put on the bottom of the door now, this will be sufficient. Beforehand, even if it was up like this, it could not have covered the gaps. Okay, so we've got the seal on. Used up all the nails with the big flat washers that came with it. There's a few places that I don't think are secure enough for my liking. So we're going to take a few of these expensive screws and put a few of those in there just to make sure it's nice and secure. So okay. There we go. Nice seal all the way across.